Welcome to a Skyrim Addict podcast where I will discuss my adventures and misadventures through Skyrim. Join me. Add your stories, add your tales. Let's get into this thing. Welcome back. Skyrim Addict podcast 122. I'm gonna say 122. I believe that's what it is. And this week on Facebook Live, we're also recording, and I have Steve with me from skyrimbookclub.ca, your Audible for Skyrim.
I like that. Can I use that as my new intro? Your
Absolutely.
Audible for Skyrim?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, because that is kind of what it is. It's awesome. I tend, for me, my use for Skyrim Book Club is I generally get like 20 of them and then listen to them while I'm doing something at work. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I could be playing a game right now instead of whatever mundane garbage I'm currently in the midst of.
I see a lot of that, actually. I get like big traffic spikes on Sundays. I figure like guys are mowing their lawn or like, people are doing their dishes or whatever. Like, because it's really only like 3 or 4 minutes a shot, right? You get into some of the fiction and there'll be like 10 or 12. But I feel like it's like I'm sort of like not just the Audible for Skyrim. I'm the Netflix for Skyrim because you binge.
That is true.
Periodically, that's what you do. You don't tune in every day. You wait until I'm done and you binge.
Now, how many yourself have you recorded? Because I know a bunch of other people have done them, but how many have you done? Do you know how many you've done yourself at this point?
So I'm going to sort of lick my finger and hold it up to the wind here
and estimate.
Best guess.
Yeah.
But I would say that, okay, we're sneaking up on 350.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could double check on the website, but maybe with what I've got in the can, we're going to cross 350. I'm going to ballpark it that maybe about 50 of those are contributions.
And then the rest are all you.
Yeah, 100%.
Nice. That's intense. That's a lot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, although you just like you forget about it. Like I was commenting on before we started recording that like it's almost a year to the day that you and I had our conversation on like what was it, 91 or 92, episode 91, 92. I mean.
Oh yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So I'm sitting in my car because I can't smoke in my house. So I'm sitting in my car before I have kids. Before I come on the show, and I'm thinking about that, and then like it hits me like it can't have been a year.
It's amazing how fast time goes, isn't it?
Yeah, but also just the idea that like I can't have been doing this for more than a year.
Yeah,
it feels strange. You know.
Well, you know what's crazy? It just hit me the other day. I was like. Because I was scheduling with you and with the guys from Character Crusade who are going to be on next week, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, there are, not counting Elder Scrolls Off the Record because they do a lot of ESO and stuff like that, but there are 4 active Skyrim shows 6 years after the game came out, essentially, or 5 3/4 years or 5.5 years after the game came out. There's Character Crusade, obviously, Skyrim Book Club, this show, and our other Let's Play Skyrim, which is just an audio Let's Play of the game. So there's 4 active podcasts about a game that came out almost 6 years ago.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? That it's still grabbing people and still keeping them interested.
Yeah, and it's all each one does a very different thing. Like we all do very different things. And actually, admittedly, I think Let's Play Skyrim kind of came up when I was talking to you about Skyrim Book Club around that same time, and Skyrim Book Club kind of inspired that.
Oh, no kidding!
Yeah,
That's really interesting because I know it launched shortly afterwards, and then you see, one of the reasons. By the way, thank you for having me back, Michael.
Oh,
I really appreciate it, and I wanted before I get going and just start talking for an hour here. You were sort of like the coming out party for Skyrim Book Club. You really, you've really just been like awesome. Like I'll listen to your Let's Play stuff. I'll drop in on some of your episodes and whatever. And like, I hear the name of my show periodically.
Yes, it's true.
You drop it out there. So I think you really like, cause I was 4 or 5 weeks in.
Yeah. It wasn't that long, was it?
Talking to you.
Yeah.
No, not at all. And so anyways, by the way, just like, thanks for that like initial nudge. And
Oh no,
there are other things that we'll talk about as we go that I sort of owe you some credit for. But I'm glad that just sort of something we talked about maybe kicked off something creative for you, because I feel like you got me going in the sense of like putting me out in the world. Not that that's really my goal, but you also gave me like the right mindset. You said something to me off mic, I guess, about like it's okay just to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And man, I have like never forgotten that. And I think that's part of why I made it to a year. That's part of why like I've managed to be so consistent. Like I've missed one day in 14 months.
Wow. That's impressive.
Really I had 2 papers due on the same day, and I just didn't manage my time on the previous weekend well enough, and I just ran out of real estate. Yeah,
that'll do it. That or kids will do it. One or the other will do you in at some point.
I got one of them too. Don't worry. But.
Yeah. That'll happen. They'll sometimes steal your time, but that's okay. They're supposed to. But yeah, no, I remember when we were talking about it, and then kind of in our little group ASA podcasting chat that we have, I like threw it up against the wall. I'm like, what if we did an audio Let's Play? What would that sound like? I'm like, well, this is either going to be really garbage or it's going to be good. I'm like, well, let's try it. And if it's garbage, who cares? It's free anyway. So what's the worst if it's garbage? Who cares? You know?
One man's junk is another man's joy.
Exactly. I think it turned out pretty solid. But that stemmed from actually, I think from when we recorded that night. It kind of, I know I had the idea kind of milling around, but definitely Skyrim Book Club was a catalyst for that.
Well, that's awesome. I do like it, by the way. I think it's quite interesting. It's a different experience, though. I bet, like, you've noticed, like, the narration is a little bit different. Like, if you're doing a video Let's Play, I know you've done some of those. I think some of the people who've come in and done playthroughs for you on that one, I know that they've done videos because I've seen some of them. But it's a different kind of narration, eh? Like, you really got to paint the picture for the listener a little bit more.
Yeah, you kind of have to describe where you're going. I always assume that that, you know, if people are listening, they've played the game enough to understand where I'm going. So I try and explain it some. I know Victor's a little better with describing things, and Colin did his playthrough. So and then we all had. I liked that it was different people doing different ones, and we all kind of brought our own thing to it.
Yeah, no, that was neat. It was interesting, like to especially sort of like bring through all of your regulars and stuff. It's almost a round table.
Yeah.
To an extent, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you're right. But you do get that advantage. You get to like lean on the 5 years this game has been out. So if someone says Morthal, you're like, oh, I can picture that in my head.
Like, that's
Saber
where he is.
I know what a saber cat is, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you don't have to describe everything because people have enough knowledge of the game. And if they're discovering it, that's awesome too. It is pretty amazing. Like, we had a serious spike after SE. I mean, it was crazy. It was like bigger than when the game originally came. Well, I didn't start till a year and a half later. But it was like bigger than any time that the game's been out.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you did the smart thing. You did like tentpole events around it and stuff like that as well. So why don't we bring that up? Actually, I want to like pick your brain. I've listened here and there to some of the roundtables and whatnot, but so you're playing SE now. I didn't own Dragonborn when it came out, and I'm not paying twice for a game.
No.
So you're probably one of the guys to come to. Like, can you give me sort of the 5-minute lowdown on really like what's different? What would I be getting if I bought it? What's remarkably the same? You know, this kind of stuff. Like, because you'd have the right critical eye for that.
Well, you're playing on PC, right?
Yeah.
You're a PC guy, right? It's, from what I remember.
100%, yeah.
Well, then really nothing. Because I don't... I mean, I have SC on I have it on my PC, and I play it just vanilla. But like modding-wise, the other one you can make look pretty much just as good. The Legacy Edition. So I don't know if on PC it's really that big of a difference. I think the biggest difference is on the consoles where you can actually get mods as opposed to, you know, not having them. I think that's where it really and also it does run much smoother than it did in the past, which is nice. I'd never experienced a load screen that was like 20 minutes long or whatever.
That's because you've learned not to hoard gems.
No, I have not learned that lesson, actually. Although I am getting better at it, I have to admit. Now that I keep right now, like I'm only playing because managing the mods on Xbox is really not simple. Like bouncing between characters and stuff. I tend to play one character at a time. So I don't hoard because like if I'm like right now I'm doing the Let's Play through Dark Brotherhood. That's really all I'm doing, or leveling up in between recordings, playing for an hour here, hour there, and so I don't go through the full game and hoard as much as I do. But when I do go through the full game, I hoard freaking everything. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we've talked this before. I routinely like cheat my carry weight up just to like get through the dungeon because I want to keep all these things. Eventually they'll end up in a barrel, but I need to bring them home now.
But you have to have it.
That's right, absolutely. And it's so funny because like you go through this game and you murder people, you murder them on a regular basis. You kill them dead, set them on fire, whatever, and then you sit there and you agonize over whether or not the weight to value ratio on that axe is worth it.
Do I take that extra dagger? Do I toss it? What do I do with that?
Like no qualms about like the dead guy that you're picking it off of, right? But that's the problem. That's the quandary.
Yeah. It's that little bit of weight. That is the worry. That is what you want to, like. All right. Do I take the battle axe or do I take the staff? Always take the staff, of course. It's worth more money.
Yeah, fair enough. And your companion will be useful with them. So.
They are. That's for sure. The staffs are great for the companions. Dual wielding them and. That was something I never really used that much in the game, for sure, though, was staffs, actually.
I don't use them personally, but actually, here's another question I want to ask you, because I play this game in a vacuum. I have a couple friends that play it, but like no one kind of where it's the main game that they're interested in. And is it just me, or do your followers like never use up a magic item?
Yeah, it does seem that way.
Because like I'll run around with a sword of whatever. Mm-hmm. And, I'm soul gemming this thing, like, sort of after every game session.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've given them to, Lydia or Janassa or, whoever I'm playing with. And they just indefinitely do this. And, like, 3 or 4 game sessions later, you're like, hey, I should take a look at that. And the bar's down, like a half an inch.
Yeah, they've barely used any of it. I mean, I'm not sure the exact mechanic. I'm not sure of when it comes to the followers.
But have you experienced that?
Yeah, because I know they don't really run out. Because I have given them like soul trap weapons and stuff like that to fill gems for me, and yeah, they don't seem to run low. But I wonder if they reload. I don't know if there's some mechanic where they reload it or something like that. You would think I would know, like 5.5 years into the game, but
well, it's what you're interested in, right? Like I'm not a code monkey either. So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's definitely not my forte. Definitely other people would be better at answering that than I would. I've always been more of just a player and, just experiencing. For me, it's always just been like the escape of it. It's just like, all right, I have an hour where I don't have to think. That'll be nice. Let me do that.
Yeah, for me, it's often I have an hour where I should probably be doing something else.
Well, yeah, to be fair, that's true, too.
I get caught doing that a lot. But, you cannot write a final paper on Skyrim. You can't tell your boss, like, dude, come on. I was plumbing the depths of whatever.
That is true. True.
With my sword mage. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I was doing important things.
That is true. They don't really, it's hard to pass that excuse off. Well, you see, I was in Whiterun, and there was this rumble, and I just kind of had to go. I had to keep going.
Well, here's another one for you. That reminds me, actually. I was thinking about this. If you already have Sanguinus, Vampirus or whatever, and you start Dawnguard, does that change things substantially?
I don't think I've ever been a vampire when I started it. I think you can still go through the Dawnguard. I don't know. They might attack you. Actually, you know what? I think I did have it before when I went there, and they kept attacking me because I didn't realize I had it, I think.
Yeah. You just have all these villagers telling you look a little pale.
Yeah. I think it was one of those times where I caught it and didn't realize I had caught it, and then went to, go to the Dawnguard, and it didn't go over so well. But
no, I guess it wouldn't, yeah.
They're not always so friendly, so... Yeah, I don't think... I'm trying to remember if I've ever... Been a while since I went through Dawnguard. Probably since the last time we did it on a round table, which was a while ago. Which is one
just a stray thought. I got bit yesterday.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, just, they mobbed the gate
of
whatever town you're in. And, and I got bitten. I knew that's what it was, but it came to mind, so...
Yeah, I had it happen.
You're 0 for 2, bud. I've been bringing all these questions.
Yeah, no, I'm terrible.
I don't know.
When it comes to this kind of stuff, I am awful with it. Like, I'll do, because I won't retain it. Like, even if I knew it at some point, I just won't retain it, and then I'll go back and look it up on the UESP. Go back to UESP and like, oh yeah, that's right. I do a lot of alchemy in the game. I couldn't tell you one recipe. I have no freaking idea, and yet every single playthrough, I rediscover. Like, I don't ever cheat it. I always rediscover the ingredients by eating them and just randomly making them. But,
yeah, no, absolutely. I'm the same. And then the thing is, then once you do that, like, I assume you're using like Sky UI or similar when you're on PC.
Well, on PC, yeah.
Yeah. So this is what I'm running. I've been running Sky UI for a long time. And once you eat it, if you have like, there's this little list on the side of like, damage magicka, restore health, whatever. So you just like, you don't have to remember now.
No, yeah, exactly. But even when I play on like the Xbox One, like I never, like, you would think I would retain like, because invisibility potions I make tons of. Because I know Nirnroot's one of them, but I forget what the other is. Maybe Vampire Dust. I think Vampire Dust is another one. So maybe I do retain that one because I use it a ton. Because that's like one of the few potions I actually use is invisibility, because they're great. But I'm like, you think I would retain something? But every time I go in, I don't remember any of the alchemic ingredients and what they do.
I hear you. I'll remember giant's toe and wheat. Flour.
Yeah.
Put those together, you get a pretty boss healing potion, which you can then sell.
or
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, giant toe. That's what I remember. And they're so hard to come by. So
I just hoard a bunch of crap, mix it all together, sell it off. It's always potions that are completely useless because there's 18 different things. 3 of them, there's 2 negative effects and a positive effect. So I'm like, all right, well, that's got to go.
Yeah, but really, I mean, alchemy is, I think you're hitting it, right? Like, my experience of alchemy is pretty much the same, is that like there are 2 or 3 potions I want to consistently have in my bag.
Yeah.
And I'll pick those up. I mean, I can possibly pick everything regardless, but like the rest of them, I'm doing it for the skill up.
That's it.
That's it. Like, because alchemy is sort of like, unlike enchanting, where like the drop rate of enchanted weapons is really low, or like to do it you need soul gems, which is either like this arduous task of having them on you and hitting them with the right weapon, or buying them from mages and looting them and stuff. You can sort of, you have a far less limited supply of alchemy stuff. It's dirt cheap. It's dirt cheap. I mean, you get together a couple $1,000s, you can clean out an alchemist shop. Yep. Make enough stuff out of that to sell it back and turn a profit. So like, it doesn't cost you anything to do alchemy either, ultimately, once you reach sort of a certain threshold. So I just sort of like, I like binge alchemy.
That's what I do.
Sit down for like an hour. And I don't remember anything. If it wasn't for Sky UI, I would just...
You have no idea. Yeah.
I'd be starting over every time I wanted to do that, except for like the 2 or 3 that I care about, But I mean, that's my experience of alchemy. I mean, I played an alchemist once, which we talked about on the last show.
Yes.
But other than that, that's all I use it for. It's just, it's a far less expensive skill, and you've done half the work just by adventuring, because you're gathering anyways, right?
That's it. As you're going along, you're gathering anyway. I just usually load up a barrel in my house with like 80 million ingredients, and then clear it out every so often, and like level up tons, and then go sell everything off, and similar type of thing, basically. And I only keep, like, in the beginning, I'll use some health potions or magicka, depending on what I'm playing. But as it goes on, I don't even need those, and then I'll use, like I said, invisibility is one of the ones I really like, and maybe slow or something like that I'll use, But I tend to keep potions in my inventory for no reason, that I think I'm going to use, that I'm never going to use, and I do it every game. So I'll have like 45 ultimate stamina potions. I'm like, right. I'm never going to use this.
Well, and you wonder why you're like trudging around.
Yeah,
too.
I'm like, why am I carrying
when you
this?
get rid of all those potions, I mean, you just dropped 40 pounds. Son.
Yeah.
Check that out, right? But I've actually had the same experience most of the time, but I've recently started like really trying to like push the difficulty. on the game. And Dragon Age is sort of a game that taught me this too. Like when I ran it through on like sort of normal or whatever the first time, you know, you would just pick up all this junk and never think about it. And then you kind of run back through, you're like, okay, like I've kind of done this, or I played this game long enough. I haven't finished that game either, by the way, but I played this game long enough that I get the game system. So let's punch it up a little bit and see if we can make this more like tactically challenging. And suddenly like the value of poisons, the value of like buffs and stuff really become significant. So I'm finding that with Skyrim as like, you know, as I've sort of, you know, in the games where I've sort of moved up the difficulty for a particular reason, suddenly it's like, whoop, do I have any poison for that guy? Oh, that's 3 Falmer over there, and I'm only level 8. What am I doing here? Well, that's a different question. But, you know, you're just like, okay, like what can I do? What can I do to these people? You know?
Yeah, I definitely do use the poisons and stuff early in the game, especially if I'm like an archer or something like that, where you're trying to clear house before you get killed, like when you're level 1 and you wander into a place that you're not supposed to be. Especially with like an alt start mod. Or
like with your current, you know, Let's Play character.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who's trying
so God, hard. Yeah, I
God bless him. I'm three episodes in, and he's trying so hard.
I couldn't believe it. I was getting killed by a skeleton like it was the Ebony Knight or Ebony Warrior or something. I'm like, what is going on? Like, this is not Oblivion, where the skeletons were actually incredibly tough. But I guess I was only level like 2 at that point or something. I'm like, well, I just shouldn't be here is what it is. I shouldn't even be in this area. So of course I'm going to die. This is silly.
But it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's like
it was fun as hell.
The little killer that could. Like I find myself like rooting for him.
Yeah.
Because like it's like sloppy kills and he's running like he's running from one person like towards the next person he's going to kill. You know, like you had to get the townspeople to kill the saber cat.
Oh yes. I had to kite him over there. Yep.
That's fantastic. Yeah. But hey, I mean that's strategy, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My early Dark Brotherhood kills were not real clean, I got to admit. When the guy wakes up when you stab him, it's a problem. So that's how low leveled I was. But
well, in your defense, I mean, Astrid totally gave you a false impression of how it was going to be. I mean, the first guy you killed for had his hands tied. I mean, okay, I can do this. I could be an assassin. Yeah. Sure. Why not?
One shot, they were done. That was it. You know, I'm thinking, oh, this guy's sleeping. One shot. He wakes up and chases me.
Yeah, they do that. They do that all the time at the least convenient moment.
Yes. Thankfully, this was in the wilderness and not in a town where I would have to run away. Although I did have to run away from a town at some point, too, that I recall. Well, what's funny is that sometimes I'll forget where I left off. Like, I always leave off at a quest point, so I know where to start back up. So that way, if I wander off and do something else and level up or whatever, I can just go back to that quest point and know where I'm supposed to go. But, yeah, you start, you know, because you just start exploring, and you're like, oh, crap, I gotta go back and talk to that guy. What the hell was that even about? I don't even remember now. That was like 5 game hours ago. What was I doing?
It's one of my favorite memes. It's out there somewhere. It's like, you know, it's a shot of like somebody's like quest log.
Oh,
it's like when you reload your character after having not played for 3 months or whatever, and it's just this sea of text, right?
And you're like, whoa.
You get like quest ambushed anytime, you know. Anytime you go in anywhere, you know, you can't.
Oh yeah.
Can't let anybody talk to you.
But it's weird. I find Skyrim is easier for me to hop in and out of, and even if I haven't played a character for quite a while, I can generally get the idea. Sometimes it's tough if it's a very specific type of character or something. You know, if I was playing a very specific thing, whether it was like. I had like a vegan character at one point or whatever was going on, you know, those are a little tougher to hop into, but like a general character and I'm just playing how I enjoy playing or whatever. I find it real easy to hop into, like Oblivion and some other games. Like once I'm out of it for a bit, like I'm like, I got to start over. I just got to start at the beginning because I have no idea what's going on, you know?
Well, I mean, you can just turn a character on, doesn't matter how long they've been sitting on there, and just go over there and do something.
Yeah.
Like it almost doesn't remember. Like eventually you'll start poking around the quest log, you'll get back in the groove, you'll figure out maybe what you were doing, but it also doesn't matter because you just need to go left 50 feet and there's an adventure in Skyrim.
There's something else there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's just sort of like, okay, what was my setup? I mean, so you check your favorites. You're like, oh, okay, this was the kind of character I was playing.
Yeah.
Right. Look at your skills. You're like, okay, well,
oh, I have a battle axe, not a bow, so that explains that. That is one thing I have to say, like the round table and stuff has really helped me do different things that I probably wouldn't have done game-wise. I probably would have moved on to something else, but it's always been something that, gives you a different experience or whatever.
Yeah, I sort of took to that as well when I started, like that idea, like when we talked about the roundtables. I'd listened to one or two before I first sort of got on your show, but we talked about it a bit more, and then I followed them a little bit more since then. And I've really found that like that idea is quite exciting. Like I love making characters anyways and trying different things, but I've actually like consciously tried to, here's a goal for a character. And then like, can I realize that?
Can I get that?
Through? And I've done a lot of different stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, for the first time ever, I ran through the Bard's College quest line. With that, you suggested a mod. I forget the name of it now, but that kind of enhances it.
Oh, I
think as bit as like Better Bard's College or something like that.
I think Andrew was using that. Yeah, because he loves the bards.
Wow.
And he loves followers. So like that quest, he had like 40. He did it on the Let's Play.
Yeah.
And he had like 55 followers or something. I don't even know.
Oh my
absurd.
God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
How does this machine even go?
Yeah. He tries to meld it down, but he had like dogs and goats and all kinds of stuff following him. And he went through to Bard's College. But
then his computer divorced him at the end. Like that's awful. Like look what you're asking that processor to do. You know what I mean? That's horrendous. But more power to him. I wish I could do that, but well, then again, I don't because I'm sort of like you always default back to double daggers. Yeah. I'm a puller.
Oh,
I like to my ideal is to get up to the point where I can drop runes, and then I want to like snipe somebody and make them run right towards me, or like get them run towards me and like set the oil on fire. Boom. Like I like to pull. I like to pull and kite is the thing. Like I'll often make my companion just wait here. Anybody that's not stealth by default, like you stand here.
Yeah, don't go anywhere.
Like I will bring them to you, and once they get here, they're going to be mad at you, so they'll stay here. You don't have to chase them; just stand here. But the reason I bring up the Bard's College is because it was the first time that I played like a support character.
Okay.
This was my thing, like and that was sort of bringing in like a more of an old school D&D idea. Like the Bard in D&D, especially in the earlier editions of the game, was very much a support character. So he would buff you.
Okay.
It'd give you +1s to your attacks and your armor class and, whatever, would cast spells that would like confuse the enemy and that sort of thing. So, you can already hear comparisons, right? It's the idea of like, calm and fear and fury, right? Courage.
Oh yeah.
This kind of
thing,
so and like healing hands, right? Like I'm going to heal you. So I actually ran through, and this is the first time I played with Janassa, and really I fell in love with her. I think she's fantastic. But I ran through the whole Bard's College stuff, and like I had a whole sub story with Gordak was his name. I played an orc bard because I thought that was funny. But he would soup her up, and then basically like mess with the enemies, and like heal her from a distance. Like I would just be like paralyzing people and she would just go in and like cut their throats, right? Or I would like fury them so they fight amongst themselves and she'd like dance around the outside stabbing people, and every so often they'd aggro her. And I would just healing hands or whatever,
Oh,
so I thought that was a really interesting experience. Is that like somebody else is the hero almost? But that was kind of inspired by Roundtable, just the idea like try something different, so.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And then we had Marcus who made a character generator, which gives you all these attributes and spouse and children and home and all these factions, everything. And it's like a great way, even if you don't use like the whole thing, like you just roll it and then say, oh, I'm going to do these things, this part of it. It gives you this whole other way to think about it where it just randomizes it, so you don't have to like none of your biases come into play. It's just completely random what you end up with.
Yeah, again, I find that quite tempting too. Like someone tells you you're going to be a necromancer. Okay, I've never done that before.
Yeah.
Or you have to put your points at a ratio. I think is part of what you guys do too, right? Like so many health, so many magicka, that kind of thing. So I think that's interesting. That it takes just a little bit out of your hands, and it almost makes your character that like touch more real. Like they have a bit of will, if you will.
Yes, yeah, and they have to figure their way through the world with, whatever limitations they may have, and whatever skills they're, generated with or born with, so to speak, they have to take. So, yeah, I mean, that's it definitely adds a bit to the game for me over this amount of time where, it's just different things to explore and all that. Different.
Yeah, I think that's why I re-roll so often. I think it's Victor is your friend. That,
oh God, yeah.
About 20, 25. That's that. Like he and I would just be like besties, right? Like we could sit around all day talking about our characters because we have probably dozens of them, right? So that's definitely my way. Like that's how I keep it fresh.
I've become a lot like that too.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say that like I'm cheating at this point. I did it once after watching. You mentioned Character Crusade, guys.
Yes.
I watched I guess a Let's Play, we'll call it, by Couch Warrior called The Mortal Blade. Yeah, that was the one in particular was The Mortal Blade, and it was obvious from the start that like I think he does this with all of his characters, but it was obvious from the start of this one that like he pre-built this guy.
Yes.
Like so you met this person sort of like in media res, sort of the expression is, right? And I'd never even considered that before. And like the one time I did it, I built a character and it felt a little sort of like unsatisfying.
Okay.
So I've kind of walked that back a little bit, but I'm at the point now, like, I mean, I hit 300 plus hours today playing Skyrim. So that's not huge. There are people out there with double, triple that or whatever. Yeah, but to me, that's a lot of time with a game.
Yeah.
So I want like, just like, and I mean, you get this, you have a family, right? You have, a job, other interests, all this kind of stuff. Like I just sort of like cheat for time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, come on, eventually I'm going to put this guy in elven armor. I imagine him to be such and such a way, like I don't sort of like, I still start him out at level 1, but like, look, here's a little gear just so like, you're not getting killed, every 20 minutes, like while we kind of push you up to level 5 or 6 and you're survivable, like just to make them a little less brittle. Or, I imagine that this will be your fighting style. So, you're going to come to the table and you're going to have that set of weapons ready, maybe, and not even like maybe top tier, but I do a little bit of like, I gear them a little bit. And, once or twice I've probably like bumped a skill up. Like, this person should start X and Y. So you maybe like push his starting stat by 5 or 10 or something.
Yeah.
But even that feels a bit cheesy to me.
Yeah. But I mean, it some points it's like it makes sense to do. Like if you want to experience a little different parts of the game. If you're always starting back at square one, after so long, it's nice to be able, like I'm going to do all these little things to get to this point, and they're not going to be all that difficult. But it's going to take me 5 hours of gameplay, which could be 6-7 days of where you get an hour here or 45 minutes there or whatever. So to be able to jump ahead like that, it is definitely worthwhile.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, and that's sort of like I was talking about difficulty earlier, but so I do I run different characters at different difficulties depending on what I want. But I find like a lot of the time, like I started this game and like, okay, well, I got to play one step up from normal right away, and then you kind of push up as you play for a while and see if you can just take it. Because there's always something about like playing the game on like Nightmare or Impossible or whatever the hardest difficulty is, right? Like it's like it's there taunting you, like, can you do it?
Yeah, can you survive?
But I found actually like a lot of the time, like I've dialed it back now because I figured out like ultimately, like I just looked on a wiki at one point, like what is actually harder about this?
Yeah.
I thought like, okay, they'll throw more enemies at you or whatever, but no, they're just nerfing your damage.
That's it. Yeah. That's all it is.
Right. Yeah. And increasing the enemy sort of damage. Right. So like I can get through all these situations. It just takes more reloads. So again, it just comes down to like, I want to get quality out of my Skyrim time now. So, I gotta run this. I'm just gonna run this at normal most of the time, and just avoid those 2 or 3 reloads in a particularly tight spot because they're not hitting me like a truck now.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're getting,
but I do commit. I do commit to my difficulty. Like I don't, if I'm playing it like master with a character, for example, whatever, like I don't dial it down to get past like an automaton or something, like I will do it, but yeah. So I find I don't want to bother with the reloading and stuff now. So that's what I mean. Like, so it's all about time now at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're trying to utilize what time you have to be able to get your entertainment in. Basically, you don't want to waste it constantly reloading and restarting you want to experience the story or whatever quest you're going through or whatever cave you're going to or anything like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I got books to read. I got no time for loading screens.
That's it. That's true. Well, you got books. Yeah, you got books to actually act out.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Even more than reading it, you actually have to record it. You have to edit it. You have to, and everything that goes along with that.
Well, that's actually definitely like that's something that's changed from a year ago. Like, I've got a really nice workflow now.
Oh, okay. You've kind of got it. Yeah, I would assume after this time, you kind of have, you know what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And...
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, like I can knock out a week from sitting down, turning the computer on to having like a week's worth of stuff posted in maybe 3.5, 4 hours.
Oh, that's not
depending on the length of the books, like, you know, from like raw to done. So, and you know, like I figured out like the 5 or 6 tricks I want to do every time I'm editing, and what effects I want and how to control the room better and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, yeah. And then, I mean, like I've gotten to the point where like after a year of just like pounding away at this language and the way that they use it, like I'm getting better at reading them cold.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Yeah. Like a lot of them are sort of like one take with a few like do-overs on the lines now.
Well, that definitely must trim down the time then.
Oh my God. Right. You know what I mean?
Because that was like when you remember when Dave used to email in with the McBeta stories and stuff like that.
Yes, I like those.
Yeah, I'm still in touch with him. He's currently not playing Skyrim, but still keeping in contact. But yeah, oh my God, some of the names I'd be like, oh God, I'm so bad at this. I would feel terrible. I'm like, he put so much time and effort in this, and I am so horrible at reading it. I'm like, oh my God, I cannot do these, you know, because whatever it was, whether it was Elven or Dwarvish or whatever, you know, I was just butchering the hell out of it. Or some Scottish phrase was thrown in there that I would completely mangle into oblivion. And I'm like, oh God, I gotta be better at this. Like, this person's pouring so much time into this, and I'm completely destroying it in the amount of time it takes to read through the words.
Well, he obviously wasn't offended. I mean, he kept sending them.
Yeah, no. He
to be fair, right?
He never yelled at me for it, so I'll take that. No, I definitely put in the effort to read it, but man, I was bad at it. I was bad at some of the words for sure. But I guess after you've read so many books, it does kind of, everything starts to flow a little better. You kind of get the gist of everything and how things, even some of the Skyrim specific words are pronounced and things like that.
Yeah. And I mean, like, and I don't mean this like tongue in cheek, but like the people that listen have been helpful about that. Like I had a guy tell me that I was pronouncing alien wrong.
Oh, okay.
And like, that's okay. Cool. Tell me that. You know?
Yeah.
It was fine. So you get little like sort of tips and tricks like that. Or I learned really early on, like just go online and like, you know, Google it. Somewhere there will be a video of someone saying that, you know? Like I remember I was doing one of them related to like her scene, I guess it is. And I did not want to screw that up because I know the companions is like a big quest and blah, blah, blah. Like he's a god, right? So, so I mean, I may have just screwed it up now, but there was that kind of thing. You should go and Google it. But yeah, you learn sort of like how the language is used, like J's are funny, you know, and that sort of thing. And sometimes you still just fake it. And I mean, like, you know, whatever. And I'm still editing out some unhappy noises from time to time as I like stumble over a place name over and over and over again. You know?
Oh my God. Yeah. That's what the ruins would always get me. The Dwemer ruins. My God. Some of those names.
Yeah. Proper names are the worst, but yeah, absolutely. Thank goodness I haven't done too many of those. I mean, eventually I'll just end up where that'll be the option, right?
Yeah.
It'll be alphabet soup to end the podcast. You know, the last 10 books will just be, you know, like it'll be like one a week, you know what I mean, at this point, because you're just throwing your mic at the wall.
Just trying to get through it, like, oh, I gotta finish. How much?
Looking for that, like, angel contributor. You're like, oh, you want to read, eh? I've got these books left.
Yeah, here's the perfect one. It's
for easy. You, absolutely.
How many books do you have left?
Like I said before, we're sneaking up on about 350. I mean, I'd have to go to the website and check to give you the exact number, but I think here's what I'm using for my benchmark. If you like look at the heading for books on the Elder Scrolls Wikia. This may not be exact, but it says like there's 816, 820, something like that, item codes that correspond to books in the game.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, bear in mind, that includes the like 110 spells.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So right away you can chop that number down, like 80 or 90 of them are spells. There's recipes. Like, when you take scraps of paper, like I'm not going to read to somebody how to make a healing potion.
Yeah, that's a good point. And some carrier notes and things like that, I would assume too.
Well, I think near the end, I'm going to have to start thinking about how I want to handle that stuff and sort of triage it, right? But like, I would say that like proper books, and this is judging by a person who I think is the only person who's actually sort of finished a full archive. Like when I started into this, I noticed a lot of people have some interest, and you can find lots of recordings of, especially the more popular books from Skyrim. Like I'm doing Dance and Fire this week as we're talking. That's what's publishing. I'm working through those 7 books at the moment, and there's definitely lots of recordings of those because it's it's a good piece of fiction. The main character is interesting and flawed and funny and whatever, right? But all this to say that like there was this woman who runs a YouTube channel called the RPG Chick. And this is a couple of years old now, I suspect what I'm referring to, but she has 200-ish video playlists of the books from Skyrim. And like, I kind of eyeballed that a while, compared it to the wikis. And I think that's sort of like the proper, like, here's a piece of fiction or here's sort of a narrative piece of history. Right. Mm-hmm. So all that to say anyways, that like, if you go back to what we were talking about Elder Scrolls Wiki, you got about 815 or so. You chop out recipes and potions. And there's going to be a few books that like I just sort of can't read. Like I really want to read Colby and the Dragon, but it's a choose your own adventure, so I'm not sure how to handle that.
Oh yeah, that's not easy.
I might actually I'm occasionally tempted to like sit my daughter in my lap and try to figure out something like that with it. Or like Shadow Marks is another one. It's an interesting book, but like it relies on a visual. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to describe the symbol to you.
Yeah, that's how do you?
Because that would break the narrative, right? So there's going to be a few of them like that are going to get run together. So all that to say that you probably get down to about like 700 and a little bit of change. Like it might take 100 out. Like the odd book you can't read, the spell books, recipes. It might pull about 100 out of it. So you're looking around 700. So we're sneaking up on 350. So about halfway.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad, and that's only been a year.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you figure like we've been going 5 days a week since like March of 2016. Well, really April. I would say like April 1st or 2nd, like whatever the first Monday of April was, 2016. That's when the 5 a week started. And like I said earlier, like I've only missed one episode in the time since then. Only one day, pardon me, have I not had an upload. So
that's impressive.
Well, again, that was about the workflow though. Although here, I'm going to tell you a secret. Well, I'm going to tell, all the people watching or whatever, a secret. If you're getting episodes in the morning, I've built up a backlog I've recorded on the weekend and I've pre-posted them. If they're showing up around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, I've gotten caught. Like I've had to go to my mother-in-law's for something on the weekend, or I've had a paper or whatever. And I'm literally doing them between work and picking my kid up at school.
Oh,
like I'm doing them live. Like you're literally getting them like 45 minutes after I sat down and picked the book. Because I have to get one done. I like my commitment. I once had something. I went to Perth. I live in Ottawa, Canada. Yeah. Perth, Ontario is about an hour and 45 minutes drive away. It was like my dad's birthday or something. So we take this road trip down there and we come all the way back after dinner and we don't even get home until like 9:30. And I realized that I had forgotten to like schedule something. Right. And I'm looking through my archive. I don't have anything. I'm like, I'm cursing. My wife is like, why are you giving up? You still have 2 hours. And I'm like, that's right. So I posted an episode at like 11 p.m. I'm like, screw you. We had a book on Tuesday. My streak exists. Right. So
that's it.
Sorry. So anyways, the dark side of audio booking right there. But yeah, that's the little dirty secret for you right there. Is like if you're seeing them, if the first link out to them is in the afternoon, I'm playing catch up.
That means something else was going on and you're getting it out there.
I'm actually going to try to like build up a bunch this summer because we're having another baby at the end of August. I figure I'm going to need a couple of weeks of like I'm not sleeping.
Oh, that's going to happen. Yeah, you know that already. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Been there, done that.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
But I have this plan. About how I'm going to deal with this, right? Is my wife and I figured out with my first kid that you have to like kick each other out of the house.
It's true, yeah.
Like just like, I mean, I think maybe about 6 or 8 weeks in, you start you're climbing the walls.
Oh, yeah.
And like, you know, the fact that your spouse is breathing is fundamentally agitating to you. Like whatever, right? Your nose is whistling. I hate you. No, I'm teasing a little bit, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah,
like, it
definitely.
puts so much pressure on you. So it was like, no, you have to, you know, she's a role-playing gamer, right? Like a tabletop gamer like I am. So it'd be like, you know, she'd been in like a regular game with people for some time before the baby came. Like, you have to go back. You have to go back and do that.
Yeah, you have to have
and
something
just
else.
Go out. Like, just go away. Like, you know, the baby will survive.
Mm-hmm.
You need to go talk to somebody who's not me about stuff that's not family, right? So all that to say that, like, we've learned that lesson. So I feel like I'm going to have to do something with a kid in each hand every week.
Oh, yeah.
But my payback is going to be my podcast time.
That'll be your time away.
You're just going to give me that 4 hours in the basement one way or the other. Just tank the baby, you know, and keep my 4 or 5 year old. Well, she'll be almost 5 at that point, but like keep my other kid busy. So I think that'll be my little escape. Like, you know, I'll just end up in the world of Tamriel. So. But I'm also trying to build up a backlog. Let's be honest. Let's not be.
That's I don't blame you. You always got to have something sitting there just in case. We were good at that for a while. When the roundtable was going on, it would allow me to build some extra stuff up. Recently, this time of year is tough. Traveling and summer and coming up in spring, and you know, it's just, you know, real life. So,
your bedtime's really early now, Michael. I'm only 39. You see, I'm still a young pup compared to you, so I've got an extra like 45 minutes that I could be awake.
That is true. Yeah. I wind down pretty early, although sometimes I get caught recording late. Not this show. I don't generally record late because, you know, either we record it on the weekends if everybody's getting together because we have so many different time zones, or if it's during the week, I do it as soon as I get home from work before I pick up my son. Or I'll do it on like Sunday morning, long before anybody else is up, because I wake up at ridiculous hours on the weekend too, because it's like sleeping in. So this show generally record it. If it's a solo one, it's like Sunday morning. If it's the group one, we usually get together like on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, since we have people in the UK, you know, people in different parts of the U.S. It's just easier. That seems to be the best time for everybody, where it balances out for everybody's schedule.
Yeah, because everybody can, you know, because the day is so open, everybody can be available at different times of the day,
Yeah, some people are at the end of their day, some are in the middle of it, you know. And then summer's always tougher because people go outside and stuff, you know. But a lot less people listen in the summer, too, I find, in general. You know, just because, everything, it's summertime. People are going out. But I guess it is wintertime in a lot of places, so you would think maybe people would be...
Yeah, see, what we're doing is we really got to start, singling out the southern hemisphere.
Yeah, got to target.
We got to be doing content that's relevant to, the global south at this point, and, that's how you kind of maintain your audience all the way through.
We've always had a pretty solid Australian base.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, Sherry's been, individually, Sherry's been in the group and listening on and off or whatever for a long time. I actually met her in San Diego, which was amazing. And I know there's been other people from Australia that have emailed in, and, I don't really check and see, get that detailed into, where everybody's listening from, but I think Australia has a pretty good podcast listening base in general, just from listening to other shows too.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, I think the trick there too, without going too far down the rabbit hole, is they're the most North American part of the world.
For sure.
There's no language barrier.
No,
I mean they were an English colony, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to consume American and generally North American media more readily than people in India, right? Or people
exactly.
in, Cambodia, whatever, who I'm sure, I'm sure there are people that share our interest the world over, but, I'm not Google translating these books live, right? Or
there's always going to be that language barrier. Yeah. Whereas here, with Australia, there's not going to be,
So I think that's why you kind of get a spike down there.
That does make sense. Yeah. That would make sense of why it's one of the more prominent podcast listening places. Feels like it's like U.S., U.K., Australia are the big ones.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that at all. I mean, there was they were sort of statistically higher than average for consuming podcasts.
I mean, I could be wrong, but it just seems so just from everything, just in general from this show and other shows and talking to people. And it might just be a cultural thing down there, too. Maybe, they've had better access to internet. Who knows? I mean, it could be something as simple as that, too, as well.
Nobody knocks on your door and asks you why you're listening to it in Australia. Whereas other countries that shall remain nameless in that part of the world do, right?
There
are people who can't watch this Facebook Live right now. So.
That is
anyways,
true.
I'm not gonna go off on a rant.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, that's true. Yeah, they don't have any. There's no barriers really, so that's for sure. But that is a good thing. Now, I don't know if you're a podcast listener, and this is going to veer off of Skyrim, but are you a podcast listener in general? Other stuff?
I'm going to cautiously say yes. More so, like I'm sort of like a quality over quantity guy, or like I sign Netflix podcasts at this point. Yeah. Like I used to listen to a bunch. I cast a pretty wide net, but
now you've narrowed down.
At this point, like I work full time. I go to school in the evening. I got a kid. I want to have a relationship with my wife. I want to go outside and talk to real people. So I really sort of have trimmed down. Like I'll eat one podcast for a while. Or like I'll get current and then I'll go back and catch up on a different one.
Something else,
So the answer is yes, I like podcasts, but I don't have I have a lot in my iTunes library that are starting to say you haven't downloaded this.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. Yeah, I've actually CBC has done a lot of great ones in the past year or two.
Okay. Anything jumping out at you?
Yeah.
I like the Canadian content, by the way. Thank you.
Yes. And that's what I was asking because they've done some really strong content with and it's mostly true crime kind of stuff, but they take it from a much more human angle than I think some of the other ones do, which is nice. But Someone Knows Something is one CBC produced. It has 2 seasons. Missing and Murdered is one that actually deals with like the Northwest Territories. What is that highway?
It's Indigenous women.
Yes.
This is actually sort of a fairly large political issue. So that's kind of they're trying to make it real for people. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's there's a whole lot going on with that in the last couple of years. Yeah. It's been sort of front and center in a lot of our sort of national politics, and like rightly so. Without again going off on a rant, they're like far beyond the percentage that the Inuit represent of the population, or that like the First Nations represent. Like their women go missing. Yes,
yeah, it's like some incredible number, and it was like, and I thought both while doing 2 different things. One was about the murder of somebody who I think it was in the Toronto area in general. Whereas the other one, Missing and Murdered, obviously dealt with the Indigenous women, but it focused on one case, but then took this wide lens at the end and was like, hey, look, I know you're thinking of this one case, but look at this, and I really love how the CBC has handled it as compared to some other ones maybe, or,
yeah, they get a lot of flack in this country from the right for being sort of very liberal and being a bit of a mouthpiece for that particular party and yada yada. But I'm not gonna get into that one way or the other. But the idea there is I like the approach as well, because it was, here's an individual story. Like you're hearing about this in the news, but like what was it Stalin said? Like 1,000 dead people is a tragedy and a million is a statistic.
Yep. Yeah.
So the idea is here's a human face, and then they kind of like put it. So I like that kind of stuff. I mean, not to deflect it, but for my interest on the CBC, I like stuff like Big Ideas.
Oh, okay, yeah.
They do like sort of these 30-minute episodes where they'll kind of introduce you to a concept or whatever. I'm a big fan of their radio, actually. Like it's funny, like like yourself. I think, well, you started off as a fan of talk radio, but I find more and more like I'll still listen to current music. Like, I'm a rock fan, right? Yeah. So I'm still going to listen to what's current, but like half the time, like I want to know what's going on in the world now. I listen to the CBC sort of on my commute a lot of the time when I'm not listening to someone else's podcast. But but yeah, they've got a lot of like interesting like science and tech stuff as well, and that sort of thing. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've liked a lot of their content, and I kind of got stuck in that true crime wave for a bit, but I listened to a little bit of everything. So
for sure, like serial killers, right? Like they're fascinating, or just like it's CSI, only it's real. Like that's pretty interesting too, right? That there's something about all of us that like slows down for car accidents, that just wants to know about that stuff. It's almost like watching a horror movie, right? Like because you're safe.
That's it. Yeah. Well, there were some that
it's a puzzle too. So.
The ones I tended to listen to were ones that well, there were some that I listened to and then switched to hate listening to. Just because I have that kind of time where I'll listen to something where I'm like, I cannot believe you're doing this still. This is terrible, but never mind. But
not the CBC, sir.
No. It wasn't. Believe me, it was none of those. I really appreciated those actually, but I would listen to other ones where also they took more of a viewpoint rather than just here's the story of somebody who was killed. It was like, well, like Into the Dark was a very good one, or Accused, where it looked at, all right, there was this murder and this person was looked at for it or arrested for it or put away for it, but they're like, well, they kind of looked at the bigger scope, like, well, what did it cause? What ripple effects came from this? Where, and I really like those. They were. I tend to like the ones that have more to them than what's on the surface, that you would think's on the surface,
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think that like I consumed more of that like through TV. Like I was a big like A&E fan.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day, right. So like you get a lot of that kind of stuff, the kind of biographies and documentaries and stuff like that. So that's definitely where I got that kind of stuff. I like Freakonomics as well. I think that's a really good podcast. I read their book however many years ago, and I like sort of the twist they put on it, the fact that they're asking sort of interesting questions, or they'll ask sort of something that's kind of in the zeitgeist, but they come at it from sort of this like perpendicular angle. You know what I mean? Like, I always find their content pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what I like. I like different stuff, but I tend to dip into things, dip out. I have my basic ones that I listen to, but I have a lot more podcast listening time. Like at work, I can listen to stuff like that, and on the way to work, driving, and such. But so that affords me a lot more time. But there's ones that I fall off of. Obviously, I have my TV ones, just for background noise. Like, oh, I watched that show. Let me get a recap of it. I don't know why I'm getting a recap of a show I just watched, but whatever. it's filling the time in between. But
I sort of look at those as like the Coles Notes of TV. Like, I don't want to pay for HBO, so I'll just listen.
I'll just find out what's going on.
I'll find a free recap podcast.
Yeah, and I can do the water cooler talk, and I'll be completely up to date.
See, it's funny. Like I'm like that with hockey now. Like I was in the cult. I'm Canadian boy through and through. I was in the cult for a long time. Following like a half a dozen teams. 20 guys, you got NHL center ice package on your whatever, like just right into it, you know what I mean? And then sort of like you reach a point where you're like, you realize that like, wow, like I'm putting a lot of like, it's a part-time job here.
Yeah.
That I put into this, right? Like maybe I should go outside and get some fresh air or whatever, right? Instead of staying inside shouting at hockey players to shoot the puck. No, I just mean like you realize like you're putting all this brain power into something, right? Whatever it happens to be. So now I just like I get the scores and the headlines, and I keep a basic idea of like who the current players and stuff are, so that like when I bump into people for whom it's a passion, I kind of like I can nod in the right spots and I can groan in the right spots, and like I get how the game works, right?
Yeah, so, the game enough to be able to hold that conversation.
But I mean like I'm not fantasy drafting anymore. So that's it. You fall off things, right? You fall off.
It's true. Your life,
Yep. But like now, in exchange for like as you could appreciate, like in exchange for not spending 20 hours a week watching hockey, like I have a relationship with my children.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I sort of fell off hockey before my kid came, but like you take my point, right?
Yeah, no, completely.
Different things with your time.
Yeah. No, I was the same way. I was real big into a lot of sports. Now I pretty much just follow the NBA, and I don't follow it to the point where like I know absolutely everything about everything. But, I follow it more than anything else. And I was just like, I got to let everything else go because I just don't have time. Like, you know,
I'm going to do you a solid. I'm going to do you a solid right here. Okay, so listen, I'm going to give you a whole bunch of free time in your life now.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna give you time for creativity, time for family, time for. Here is the thing that you need to know.
Yes.
The most fantastic part of every basketball game is the last 5 minutes.
That is true.
Because they all end on a difference of 3 points anyways. And it's all about the timeouts and getting the ball out. Yep. This is when all the strategy comes in. The first 3 quarters is just because you Americans like big scores.
Yes, it's true.
Yeah, I love you. I think you're fantastic. But like the last 10 minutes of a basketball game are awesome, and I just won't even bother with the rest of it.
No, it's true. Definitely. No, that's definitely. I mean, I watch a lot of NBA games, and that's for sure true.
And that's why I hate soccer, because it's like 90 minutes of torture plus stoppages and hooligans, and they could have scored in the first minute. And if you were taking a whiz, you've missed the whole game.
Yeah.
You've missed the whole game. Because now it's just 20 guys or whatever it is running around kicking a ball.
It's 1-0, and they're trying to hold the ball for the rest of the day, rest of the 90 minutes. And that's
right. You know, I mean, no wonder these guys roll around on the ground and dive and grab their knees. Yeah. I mean, you got to give the fans something, right? Like, oh my God. It's sort of like the Globe Theater with a ball, right? Like, it's always happening, just to like keep you entertained. But no, so I'm just teasing. But there you go. I just gave you 45 minutes a day back in your life.
There we go. Look at that.
Yeah.
I needed that time back. I got to raise a child, so. Although at some point
you don't have to do that. I mean, you could just like watch TV if you want or whatever.
That's true. Oh, he's at the point now where he's like, "Oh, wait, you want to do something? Okay." Although we do game at times.
It's weird. My dad's trying to be cool.
Yeah, he wants
I don't know
to
what
do
to do, guys.
We did just set up because we had 2 old 360s laying around. He's like, well, "We should play Minecraft on the same world." So then I had to spend 2 days trying to figure out how to get him on Xbox Live, me on Xbox Live, on 2 separate TVs in 2 different parts of the house. And then we talked on the phone to each other from 2 separate parts of the house playing Minecraft.
You know, and this is why people use PCs, right? Like,
yes.
Yeah. I'm not an anti-console guy.
I agree.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Just, you know. But yeah, that's awesome, though. It's awesome you're doing something like collective or whatever.
Yeah.
My best friend and his kid just started playing Dungeons and Dragons together. He's
that's awesome.
As Connor, so that's kind of like how they're meeting in the middle now, you know, with a hobby. Although they played Minecraft sort of together, if you will, as well. But
we've played it together many times. It always goes downhill quickly. But it is fun.
Yeah, I bet there's a sweet spot. Right? Like around 6 or 7, it was awesome.
Yeah. Now it's like, well, I'm gonna go do this. I'm like, wait, but I'm doing this. Like, so shouldn't you be doing that? He's like, yeah, but no, I'm gonna go. I'm like, oh God, we're not gonna survive the night. We're not gonna have beds. We're not gonna have torches.
Yeah, so you end up doing like what little kids do, is like parallel play.
Yeah, pretty much. That's
right? Like you're not really playing together. You're just kind of in the same sandbox.
We're in the same world, and that's about it. So I'm like, all right, but you really got to go get the wood because I'm going to go get this. He's like, yeah, but I'm coming over, so I'm going to be mining too. So I'm like, oh God.
So just like real life, you're stuck being the responsible one. I see.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I guess that's how it's supposed to be. You know? The responsible one who has to set up the games and all that, so and pay for.
That must be nice, though, like, that he's reached a point where you can like share a hobby with him.
Yeah, no, it is fun. He's actually been into gaming for a while. He actually played. I think he's been playing Skyrim since he was like 4. He's always kind of liked it. You know, he's gotten a lot better at it now. Like now, he'll play on the PC. He's actually the one playing on the PC right now. I haven't picked up the PC in a while. So he's kind of taken that over.
Well, anyway, he's got all these pre-generated characters you can play with. Yeah,
he'll usually pick up one he doesn't care where it's at in its lifespan. He's like, oh, I'll just use this one. What does he have? What armor does he have? All right, whatever. I'll just use this one. I don't care.
It looks kind of witchy. Okay, let's shoot fire at people until we figure out what else he can do.
Yeah. Or if it's like what I'm using, I'm like, yeah, don't be selling all my stuff and like changing his armor and all this crap. Like, I need to play this guy.
Oh my God, this was like the hardest part for me with parenting. I swear to you, this has been like surprisingly, like, I mean, all the typical stuff that you read about in books, that's all true. But like, really trying not to tell my kid that she's playing wrong.
Yes.
Because it's just, you have this like adult understanding of like what needs to be done, and you're goal oriented and whatever it is, or you want to goof off or whatever it is, but like just And it could be anything. It could be like jacks. Like, it doesn't matter. But like to tell them at any age, like you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Because like that's the urge is just like the stress of playing with your kid is to not do that.
That's it. It's like, no. Oh, wait, you're just figuring it all out. Okay, I gotta stop.
Like I watched my kid not so long ago spend 20 minutes like shooting fire and then frost and then fire and then frost. But she's just sort of like intuitively understand, like she's figured out the mouse buttons and how it works, and she's just experimenting, like, can I actually set stuff on fire? But like you're like, but come on, this world is huge. We've got bandits. Stuff to do. You're not making any money. You're not gonna level up doing this, kid. What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? So, but yeah, she's having a gay old time, right? So it doesn't matter. But.
That's it. That's all the road. Yeah, they're just like, all right, I killed a bear. All right, time to move on. And you're like, but you didn't loot the bear. You got to get the claws. You got to get the.
That's right. Nope, done. The first thing my daughter does every time she logs into Skyrim is she jumps on her bed.
Oh, yeah.
She spends like 5 minutes in the space bar making her character jump on her bed at the college.
Jump on her bed. Oh, that's great.
Every time. It's like the ritual. You know what I mean? It's warm up. I mean, it's good to limber up before you go out on an adventure, right? Because you never know what's going to be out there. But yeah.
Well, you might as well jump on the bed because it's the least soft.
She can, and this is the thing. Like she can get away with it in Skyrim because she can't do it at home, right?
Yeah. You can pretty much do anything there. You can run across the table and kick all the pitchers and plates and everything else off of it.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, that's great.
At home, no good.
Yeah, we don't agree with that at dinner time, do we? Really?
Yeah, please don't jump on the table and kick everything all over the place, or shout it off the table and blast everybody in the palace with it.
Oh no, that happens. That's when they're toddlers.
Yeah.
They just boost everything back at you for a good stretch there. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, that is a good point. That is what happened. Yeah, it's funny because I have a nephew that's 2. And we babysat like a couple weeks ago for him and my niece, who is not even 1 yet. And it was like, you don't realize how much you've forgotten when your child is 9 and you go back to potty training age and before that. And we were like, what the, like, how did we, like, what? Like, what do we do? How do you put a diaper on?
It's like 3 men and a baby all over.
Yeah,
like, this thing. What is it doing? Yeah.
And we're like, oh yeah, no problem. I mean, we did this before. Oh wait, that was like 7 years ago. Wait, what do we do? Connor, get over here. Help out.
Yeah, right. Hold my phone. Google this.
Yeah, figure this out for me. He's like, no, I'll take him to the bathroom. I know how to do it. Don't worry. Because he goes up there and plays them all the time. So he's like, all right, come on, Andrew, come on. And I'm like, oh, that's what we do. Okay.
Well, see, that's the trick, right? That you have to delegate that stuff, right? It's your important job, buddy.
That's it. Yeah.
It's your special time with your brother. You're bonding.
Help us out.
While you're doing it, you can do it. I believe in you. I believe in you. Make me proud, Connor. Make me proud.
That's it. It's earning his stripes. That's all.
Yeah. Well, we're slowly like indoctrinating my daughter into this concept that she's going to be a sister.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, she's pretty excited about it in general. Like, because she has a brand new niece. I mean, like 4 months old, right? So she's very enamored with babies right away. And then that sort of kicked off. Like, you have to watch her in public now because she'll just walk up to like random strange little children and start wanting to touch them or hold them.
Oh, jeez.
My daughter really is like she kind of like in her mind, she understands the concept of strangers at this point, and that sort of stuff. And you really drilled it into them when they're young. But oh my God, she just wants to like hug everybody's kid. I mean, we've gotten her to the point to at least ask first.
That's good.
So I think that like she's gonna treat like her next sibling like a Cabbage Patch doll. You don't want to just do everything and stuff like that. So we're kind of like, oh, that's great. It's a great idea. Blah blah blah. And like when we all sort of like cuddle in the bed or whatever, we'll tell her like we're having a family snuggle. There's 4 of us. Like trying to get her used to this idea that there's another person, And we're being like buying her books about you're a big sister now and blah blah blah, right?
Oh,
so we're slowly like working her into this, and she'll talk about, I'm going to teach her this and teach her that. So I'm kind of hoping that we can like sort of like trick her into thinking this is a good idea.
Delegate some of that.
Like just like long enough to get the next one walking and toilet trained, so that like once they're fighting, I don't care because they can handle their bodily functions.
Yeah,
do it outside.
That's the important stuff. Yeah,
I don't really need to be involved. I can tap out at that point.
That is good. But that's what they're for. That's what they're to help the siblings out, help each other out.
Yeah, no, quite right.
Follow in
Absolutely.
your siblings' footsteps.
So
It should be faster.
looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That's what they say. That's what they say. They say that like second kids, especially with
quicker,
sort of a particular gap, they talk faster, or not at all because the first one will talk for them. But like if they progress,
that's
it's
true.
faster.
Yeah, I have heard that where sometimes the older one will talk for yeah. That is.
Oh, they use them. My wife is like this. Like they use them as an excuse. The baby wants this. The baby wants that.
That sounds. Oh God, I don't even want to get into that. But never mind. It sounded like something that happens in this house, but it doesn't involve a baby or my wife or I. But
fair enough.
As my mic falls down. See, I was punished for thinking what I was thinking.
We're having a good time. There you go.
But we're a little over an hour, so I don't want to take you too long. Plus, I also have to go to bed too because we are getting older in our lives.
No, whatever suits your schedule. It's always a pleasure, Michael. I'm always happy to hang out with you and talk about whatever. So yeah, it's been don't let me keep you. It's been a joy to be hanging out, shooting the breeze again. So.
Well, we definitely have to make this less than a year this time. It's always fun, and so obviously Skyrim Book Club still going on, and can other people contribute? How do you work that still?
Oh no, that's still ongoing for sure.
Okay.
I mean, so the email address to get started is sort of skyrimbookclub@gmail.com if that's how you want to get in touch with me, or of course Twitter /Skyrim Book Club. I mean that's mostly just updates and like the odd funny story or whatever about the show. Really, like follow that if you want a link right when an episode goes live and you want to hear a few sort of like jokes about my character from time to time. But I answer it. I pay attention to it. I mean, this is how you got in touch with me to get me on the show.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a way that if people want to contribute, by all means, you can catch me there live. I say email me at skyrimbookclub@gmail.com. And, I'm okay with that. I'll admit I've fallen a little bit behind on my Google Doc about what's been read and what hasn't. But yeah, no, absolutely. I'm always happy to take new contributors. I mean, I'm sure people get tired of my voice from time to time. So it's nice to have some fresh blood in there. And, I mean, sure. Like I said this sort of the last time, right? But the idea is that like, there's nothing to it. Like if I can do it, you can do it. And, don't worry about your microphone and blah, blah, blah. Like I've learned enough now. I can sort of clean up a bit of background noise and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just if you've had a book that you've always liked and you don't see it in the feed and you want to read it, by all means, get in touch with me and we'll arrange something, put you on the show. Basically since you and I talked last, like I've learned that podcasting is about scratching the other guy's back because you're often doing stuff for free for each other. So like anybody that has like something that they want to like, related that they want to promote. Like if you're doing a show, I'll give you a custom intro is what I'm driving at. So like, I'm happy to help. I want to sort of encourage that. I mean, we're just looking to build an archive like for the community, it'll run its course. Then I'll find a way to archive it or digitize it somewhere where I don't have to like pay to host it, but it will just exist in perpetuity.
Where it just exists. Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I just keep it out there. I mean, my goal is to be the person who completes this.
That would be amazing.
I want to get them, all but sort of the ones that are unreadable. I want to get it all done in one spot. So yeah, absolutely. I'm happy to take contributors, feel free, email me and we'll go from there.
That is awesome. And also, make sure you leave reviews on iTunes and stuff. It helps people find, whether it be Skyrim Book Club or this show or Character Crusade or whatever, whatever you're listening to, it helps people find it. I don't know what the metric they use is, but apparently it helps people find it on the search results. So
it's kind of like the Black Sacrament.
Like
you don't really know how it works, but
nobody really knows, but we all assume it works that way. We could all be completely wrong, but we assume that, that kind of works that way and it helps out. And but the thing I love is that we can all come together for all the shows or whatever and just like talk and like whatever and like, hey, they do their show, let's have them on or have that. That's the good part about podcasting. That's really what I enjoy.
Yeah, and again, I want to thank you for sort of like welcoming me into that world. Like you put me in touch with the Character Crusade guys after fashion and stuff. You introduced me to Keek's Quest. Fantastic. I've listened to it now. And like I say, and you've been very, very gracious about like, sort of promoting what I'm doing over here and sort of, what the people that have contributed as well are doing. Yeah. So that's been really awesome. But yeah, it's nice to sort of, and it's I don't know exactly how to say this, but like you talked earlier that like there's like 5 live shows or something around this game now. It's kind of neat to like search for Skyrim.
It is, yeah.
iTunes and there's this sort of like 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever going on, and like you very quickly learn that they all kind of know each other.
That is, yeah.
No. So I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, really, yeah. I mean, I think I've had contact with pretty much all of them because there's not that many of us. Except for the shows that ended early on, obviously. Yeah, when it first started. But yeah, it's
I'm
nice.
Just so glad I didn't hit pod fade.
Yeah, that's always so hard.
Like, I'm astounded that I didn't do it. Like my goal. Sorry, I know you need to go, but this show is a success for me because it survived.
That's
like
it,
I'm a great starter of things. Like my guys get to level 20, right, and then that's it. But I'm so pleased that like I've just like that was sort of the personal reason to do it was just can I take on a long project, and I mean like. We're literally like the rock is about to get to the peak of the hill and start rolling down the other side. So I think, fingers crossed,
you have that momentum now.
To do that. And then to just like, like you've been going strong, others have been going strong the whole way. So it's nice to just have that enduring sort of community in that niche,
Yeah. That's the thing that keeps it going. Like if it wasn't for the community, I probably would have died off at some point, admittedly as well. It's tough.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just gets tough. You're like, man, God, I got to schedule something. I got to do something. And it's not like it's a chore in any way or whatsoever. If it was a chore, believe me, I wouldn't do it. But
nobody works this hard for free.
Yeah,
you better like it, right? You better like what you're doing.
Yeah. It's part of enjoying it. And it's part of just being able to talk to people or knowing people you enjoy what you're doing and listening to it, whether whichever type of show we're doing. So. That's really a good thing. That's kind of what keeps it going for sure.
Yeah, well, and I'll say this sort of live, before we finish. It's like, don't ever be afraid to like reach out. Like you sort of joked about how you would stumble over like Dave's writings or whatever. Mm-hmm. If you ever want any content like that, let me know.
Oh yeah,
100%. Like if you've got something that you want added to the show, I'd be happy to sort of, like pay back in kind because you've always been pretty awesome to me and you've been a real sort of, you've talked me up on the internet and you've name dropping, You've been pretty awesome to me, so I'd be really happy to repay the favor if you had something, that you were doing that you wanted just drops for your show. Anything. I mean, I'll leave that to you to think about. But yeah, just in that spirit of we're sort of a little niche community, if you will. Yeah. Don't ever be afraid to just send me a message and ask me to do something for you. I'll be glad to.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, no, I appreciate that very much. Yeah, no, I love the show. That's why. I mean, I'm like, and plus I just love when people do stuff. So I'm like, always want to, just help in some way because I'm like that's what for me that's what podcasting's about. Yeah, I come from that kind of DIY punk background in my early days, so that's kind of what that whole world was built on. People coming together from all sending postcards to each other and traveling cross country and staying on people's couches. So long before the internet. So it's kind of it
was like Airbnb when it was still cool.
Yeah. It was like Airbnb in the back of Maximum Rock and Roll in 1990, where you would just randomly plop onto somebody's couch somewhere in the middle of some town that you had no idea. But that's kind of where I come at it from. So that's why I just appreciate when anybody's doing anything, and I'm just like, however they want to do it, it's like it's just cool to see people doing it. That's just kind of where I come from it at. So
yeah, no, it's awesome. I think you're a really good solid part of the larger community as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, thank you. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. I actually just it's weird when I went away on vacation, my giant tree vacation, as we discussed earlier. My vacation of giant trees. I actually like every time I travel somewhere, there's people I know from not from this podcast in particular, but from from the world in general, podcasting world in general. When I was in California, I met up with at least 5 people that I've known because of podcasting.
So podcasts are like the 21st century postcard.
Pretty much,
You're sleeping on their couch, but you don't sleep on the serial killer fan couch.
That is true. Well, you
want to watch those people.
You can actually do research now, see if people are real. I've watched a lot of Catfish. I know how to do these things.
Right, fantastic. Well, you'll enjoy my next. Show. After this, I'm going to start doing a hard-hitting investigative report into all the Dark Brotherhood murders.
Oh. That would be an amazing, remember Skyrim Cops? It would be kind of an amazing version of that, I think.
I haven't seen. Okay, man, that's great. I got to Google that now when we get off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you got it. Yeah. That's
absolutely.
Skyrim Cops is pretty good, but investigating the Dark Brotherhood murders would be pretty amazing. And then you're just standing there in your Dark Brotherhood shrouded armor, right next to it. I have no idea what happened. I just.
Well, you got to get the typical the quintessential white one guard, right? You got to get him, right? And then the buddy cop is that loser in front of Riften who has never actually managed to bribe a single player.
Never.
You're I'm telling. No, don't tell. I'm going to open the fence. So he's the comic relief.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So he's the one standing there looking over his shoulder at the assassin going, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. You got to put those two guys together.
Yeah. Did you see anything? I don't know. I didn't see anything.
I used to be an investigator until I took one in the vest.
Yeah.
Whatever. Right now, now he's come out from behind the desk or whatever.
Oh man, yeah. No, definitely check out Skyrim Cops. I got to admit,
okay.
It's a good time. It's a good time.
Awesome. All right, absolutely. I gotta do that straight away.
Yeah, it's worthwhile. I think there's a bunch of episodes. I forget who did it. I can't remember offhand. But so anyway, remember Skyrim Book Club, skyrimbookclub.ca, if I'm correct.
Yeah, you can find us on iTunes as well.
iTunes, obviously, the iTunes search, your normal podcatcher that most of them aggregate from there anyway. And Twitter, as we mentioned, Skyrim Book Club.
Google Play,
yeah.
Have it in your pocket. If you don't have an iPhone, have it in your pocket on your Android.
That is true.
Man. You can walk the dog and listen to the history of the Redoran.
Yes. Oh, and somebody said, who is it? Oh, God. Adam said he also he likes to grab a few and listen to them at a time as well. He had mentioned that earlier in the thread I put in the Facebook group to mention we were going to be recording later. So,
awesome!
Because it was actually a big discussion on something, I forget what it was, but that's what triggered me doing these next two shows, talking about different podcasts and stuff. So, but thank you again for hopping on. I'm going to end the live feed here, and I'll stop recording, but we'll still be here. So thank you, everybody, for listening. And check out the other shows, asapodcasting.com, Fallout Feed, My Journey to Cystic Fibrosis, Game Talk, Mod Talk, Chatterbox, which I do, which I forgot about. Thankfully, Mikhail will never hear this and never yell at me. So,
really, this is an episode of Chatterbox. This is what we've done.
Pretty much, yeah. Those go off the rails. We had a chicken die on one episode this year. All right, goodbye, everyone. Bye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Skyrim Addict. You can find all of our contact information, YouTube channel information, as well as other shows over at asapodcasting.com, including our newest show, The Fallout Feed. Special thanks to Claire Lafar for the show's artwork. You can find her stuff at etsy.com/MayaFirePrints, MayaFirePrints. And a thank you to Dan Bull for the use of his music in the Roundtable Open and Close. You can find him on YouTube or iTunes. Just search Dan Bull. Once again, thanks for listening, and later, everyone. We literally did.
They kill you in Riverwood for that.
Yeah. That. Well, Michaela lives on a farm in Richmond, just outside of Vancouver.
Okay.
And so she raises chickens, and she was nursing a baby. Not nursing herself, obviously, but she was nursing a baby chick, keeping it warm, holding it, and it was chirping during an episode, and then it stopped it. We had no idea. So then, the next time we were talking, she's like, "Oh no, it died during the show." We're like, "Oh my god." So yeah, we had a death on the show. So there was that.
My goodness, just the activists that must have come out.
Yeah, the only thing that stinks about the Facebook Live is I'm the only one. So, like when we record, I'm the only one on video. I did it for the Chatterbox last week, so everybody's talking and I'm on video. So I had to even when I wasn't talking for 20 minutes, do something.
Had to look entertaining.
Yeah, and not look wander off or pick my nose or something like that.
You have to look engaged.
Hey,
pantomime them.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm trying to not get spoiled on TV shows that other people are talking about that I might watch at some point, but that I would probably forget that they talked about anyway. So, I mean, really, I could have just listened.
Yeah, fair enough.
Alrighty, let me play the open here.